Imagine, like, hitting the gas on a $50 million digital transformation.
Well, yeah, the absolute dream scenario for any executive.
Right. The board is cheering, the budget is totally cleared, and the executive sponsors have essentially staked their entire reputations on this launch.
High stakes.
Very high stakes.
Oh,
And then you just sit frozen in place for 9 months.
wow.
And it's not because the technology failed either. It's because your talent acquisition team, well, they don't know the difference between an enterprise Java architect and like someone who just took a weekend JavaScript boot camp.
Which is a painfully common reality, honestly.
It is. And today we are looking at this massive hidden bottleneck that is quietly derailing some of the biggest technology initiatives in the corporate world.
It really is quietly breaking these timelines.
Exactly. So we're unpacking the strategic difference between traditional generalist recruiting and specialized practitioner-led hiring.
Yeah, because it's a systemic failure in how modern companies evaluate technical capability right now.
And to really dig into this, we're pulling data and insights today from Onwardpath.
Right, the enterprise tech talent firm.
Yeah, they've spent over 14 years placing highly specific, really elite technical talent, from AEM to AI to AWS.
And when you look at their data, a glaring pattern emerges. I mean, the enterprise technology landscape has exploded into this massively complex ecosystem, but
But companies are still trying to navigate it, using a hiring playbook from like 2015.
exactly, a decade-old approach for modern tech.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you're listening to this deep dive right now and you're looking at your own IT department, you might be thinking, well, we have a great internal talent team. Why is this such a crisis?
Sure, and it's a fair question.
But the problem is the sheer velocity and depth of the technology today. You don't just have a generic IT department anymore.
No, not at all. You have teams running Adobe Experience Manager, or AEM, which is the massive engine powering digital storefronts for Fortune 500s.
Right.
You have incredibly sophisticated AWS cloud infrastructures. You've got Salesforce Einstein initiatives, trying to bake AI into customer relationship management.
And you have MLOps machine learning operations spinning up simultaneously with all of that.
Yeah, and that is exactly where the breakdown happens. Because you have a chief information officer taking a mission-critical role, like an MLOps architect, and
they just hand the intake form to a generalist recruiter.
yes. And look, generalist recruiters do absolutely vital work for the broader organization, right? We're not knocking them.
Oh, for sure. They keep the lights on for the company at large.
But in this hyper-specialized ecosystem, they are just outmatched. I mean, MLOps isn't just, doing a guide.
Right, it's way more granular than that.
It's the operational discipline of taking a machine learning model off a data scientist's laptop and deploying it reliably into a live production environment.
Which is incredibly complex. But a generalist? They don't know the tools. They don't know the deployment hurdles.
No. They often end up literally Googling the terms on the job description just to try and understand what they're even looking for.
It feels a bit like having an art critic who only knows how to check a list, evaluate a masterpiece painting.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Like the generalist recruiter looks at the resume and says, does this painting use blue paint? Yes. Does it have trees? Yes. Check.
Right. They're just pattern matching keywords.
Exactly. It's the illusion of keyword matching.
Yeah.
But if you bring in a master painter, they look at the brushstrokes and know within seconds whether the artist actually understands, like lighting and depth.
Yes, or taking a Formula One car to a generic corner lube shop.
Oh, I love that analogy.
I mean, the mechanic's intent is good. They want to help, but they simply don't speak the language of that specific machine. It's like asking a general physician to perform a highly specific open-heart surgery.
It's dangerous because the keyword matching illusion generates activity that looks like progress.
Yes, exactly. The recruiter sees machine learning or AEM on a resume. They push it to the hiring manager and they think, well, I've done my job.
But they have no mechanism to validate the depth or the actual hands-on capability behind those buzzwords.
Not at all.
So let's trace the real-world fallout of that illusion.
No.
Because according to the data we're looking at, this isn't just an HR annoyance.
No, it's a massive business timeline destroyer.
Walk us through that specific scenario of, say, an AEM cloud service migration that gets caught in this trap.
Okay, so consider a major corporation moving from an older legacy platform like AEM 6.5 up to the modern cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
This is a critical multi-million-dollar migration. And to lead it, they need a senior AEM architect.
Makes sense.
So they feed the requirement to their generalist talent pool. But because the recruiters are just keyword matching, they send over dozens of candidates who might have, touched AEM once.
Or maybe they know basic content management, but they've never actually architected a full cloud migration.
Exactly. So the hiring manager rejects them all after wasting weeks on interviews.
Oh, man.
And the cycle just repeats. And that role, it sits open for 9 months.
9 months of a freeze on a critical transformation.
Yeah.
What happens to the team on the ground during that time? I mean, they must be drowning.
They start to fracture because the existing engineering team, they're already at capacity just maintaining the legacy system, right?
Right.
Suddenly, they're stretched dangerously thin, trying to absorb architectural work they aren't equipped for. Burnout spikes.
And from a purely financial perspective, the business is likely paying dual licensing fees, too.
Oh, 100%.
They're paying for the new enterprise cloud platform they can't fully migrate to, while continuing to pay just to keep the lights on for the legacy servers.
It's a massive drain. And then you look at the executive suite.
The CIO.
Right. The CIO stood in front of the board of directors and committed to a timeline and a specific ROI for this digital transformation.
And because of a 9-month delay in evaluating talent.
That board-level commitment is now deeply in the red. The entire strategic objective is threatened purely because the talent acquisition mechanism lacked the technical literacy to identify the right architect.
I'm tracking the devastation of a delay, but let me challenge this premise slightly.
Sure, go ahead.
If you have an internal talent team under intense pressure to fill a seat, and a delayed hire is costing the company millions, isn't the temptation to just hire the, good enough candidate?
Oh, always.
And honestly, isn't a bad hire who at least does some work better than an empty chair for 9 months?
It is such a common trap to think that way. But a bad technical fit in these specialized domains does not just underperform.
What do they do?
They actively break the environment. In a complex technology stack, an underqualified hire is a structural liability.
Give us a concrete example of that. What does actively breaking the environment actually look like?
Let's look at DevOps. Say your generalist recruiter finds a candidate with great communication skills and AWS is just plastered all over their resume.
Okay, checking the keyword boxes.
Exactly. The hiring manager is desperate, so they make the hire. But this engineer doesn't actually understand the bespoke, intricate AWS architecture your company has built over the last 5 years.
Right.
So they log in, they make a configuration change they think is totally standard, and they break your CI/CD pipeline.
Wait, let's pause on that term for a second. For anyone listening who isn't in the engineering trenches every single day, what does breaking a CI/CD pipeline actually mean in practice?
Right. So CI/CD stands for continuous integration and continuous deployment.
Okay.
Think of it as a highly automated, high-speed conveyor belt in a factory. It takes the code that your developers are writing, tests it automatically, and safely delivers it into the live product that your customers actually use.
Got it. So it's the delivery mechanism.
Exactly. And when a bad hire breaks that pipeline, the conveyor belt snaps.
Well, no new code can go out.
None.
The factory shuts down.
The entire development team is paralyzed. Your deployment velocity drops to absolute zero. And instead of building new features, your most expensive engineers are now scrambling like firefighters to figure out what the new person broke, revert the changes, and patch the conveyor belt.
That is a nightmare.
Or consider like a data analyst who bluffs their way through an interview but can't navigate your specific data warehouses.
Then your business intelligence dashboard starts showing flawed metrics.
Exactly. And the C-suite makes a strategic decision based on bad data. The fallout from a bad hire is exponentially worse than an empty chair.
Which brings us to the core structural solution.
Yeah.
Because if the root cause of both catastrophic delays and system-breaking bad hires is that the people at the front door don't understand the technology,
Right.
then you have to fundamentally change who is guarding the door.
Yes, you do.
And the Onwardpath data points heavily to the practitioner-to-practitioner model.
This is where specialized hiring diverges completely from traditional recruiting.
How so?
Well, in the practitioner model, a recruiter isn't the one deciphering a technical resume or doing the initial technical screen.
Yeah.
A senior hands-on practitioner does it. So if you need an AEM architect, an actual working AEM architect does the vetting.
A professional who has actually built and deployed ML models evaluates the machine learning candidate.
Exactly. A hands-on Salesforce specialist with Einstein experience screens for Salesforce AI roles.
Well, hold on. I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Do it.
Having senior practitioners, people who command massive salaries, spend their time interviewing candidates, sounds incredibly resource heavy.
It does sound that way, yeah.
Why pull a $200,000 a year architect off their actual project work just to act as an initial HR filter?
Because it is vastly more expensive to have your internal VP of engineering or your hiring managers waste 60 hours a month interviewing 20 candidates who never had the skills in the first place.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
You utilize a specialized firm's practitioners to do the vetting so your internal teams don't have to.
Right.
What's fascinating here is that a practitioner asks entirely different questions. They do not care about the keywords on the paper.
Let's dig into the mechanics of that interview then. How exactly does a practitioner test an applicant differently than a generalist would?
Let's use quality assurance automation as the battleground.
Okay.
A generalist recruiter looks at a resume and says, I see you have 5 years of experience using Cypress for testing. Can you confirm that?
And the candidate just says yes, and they pass.
Exactly. But a practitioner doing the screening takes a completely different approach. They will say, tell me about a time your Cypress test suite became completely flaky during a massive Friday deployment.
Oh, wow. Getting hyper-specific.
Right. They'll say, your automated tests were throwing false negatives, the release was blocked, and the VP was breathing down your neck. How did you architect a solution to stabilize that test environment under pressure?
That is a massive difference.
Huge.
You can't fake your way through that answer by reading, like, a Wikipedia summary of Cypress or Selenium.
No, you really can't.
You either have the battle scars of stabilizing a flaky test suite in a live environment, or you don't. It forces the candidate to demonstrate actual problem-solving mechanics.
And they take it further. They will dig into the candidate's understanding of how those tests integrate with the CI/CD pipeline we just talked about.
Right, tying it back to the conveyor belt.
They verified that the candidate can survive and thrive in a complex, high-stakes technical reality. The generalist tests for vocabulary. The practitioner tests for competence.
I love that phrasing. And the efficiency metrics that come out of this approach are just striking.
They really are.
When you shift the heavy lifting of technical vetting to a peer practitioner, the hiring manager's experience changes overnight.
Yeah, the data is super clear on this.
Instead of drowning in 20 unfiltered, completely irrelevant resumes, the hiring manager's desk transforms into like a final check filter.
Right. They typically only see 2 to 4 highly qualified profiles.
The noise is completely eliminated.
Because the candidates making it to the hiring manager have already survived a rigorous technical gauntlet administered by someone who actually does the job.
And the ripple effect there is that the interview-to-offer rate jumps to 85%.
Yep.
That metric alone is wild. 85% of the time, the people making it to the final stage are getting the job.
It saves so much time.
You aren't wasting weeks on whiteboard tests for people who look good on paper but can't actually code. You are essentially doing a final validation on architectural philosophy and team culture fit.
Which naturally accelerates the entire timeline.
How much faster are we talking?
The data indicates that tapping into a pre-qualified, practitioner-vetted network allows specialized roles to be filled 35% faster than standard industry benchmarks.
It's huge.
Profiles for elite AWS DevOps engineers or Salesforce AI specialists can often be delivered within 5 business days.
5 days to get a vetted architect on the desk compared to a 9-month stall.
It's night and day.
But let's look at the long game here. Because speed and technical skills are vital, obviously, but they aren't the whole picture.
No, not at all.
If you find a technical wizard in 5 days, but they quit in frustration after 3 months, well, you are right back to square one.
Exactly. You have to ensure they actually stick around.
So what does this all mean for the intake process?
It means technical skill means absolutely nothing without environmental context.
Right.
You can find someone who writes brilliant code, but if they cannot write brilliant code within the specific constraints of your corporate environment, they will fail.
And this is why specialized firms refuse to use a generic intake form.
Yes. They don't just ask for a list of required software. They conduct a comprehensive talent strategy discussion.
I want to unpack what happens in that discussion because it seems to be the secret to longevity here. They aren't just asking what the tech stack is.
No, they are interrogating the reality of the work.
Like what?
Like, what is the legacy infrastructure we have to integrate with? What is the current political dynamic of the engineering team?
Oh, that's a big one.
And crucially, what exactly does success look like for this human being in their first 90 days?
That 90-day benchmark forces the hiring manager to separate the fantasy job description from the actual gritty reality of the role.
It really does. And this leads us to what is often referred to as the healthcare crucible.
Okay, let's explore the crucible. Paint the picture for us.
Okay, imagine you find a brilliant Java developer.
Oh, yeah.
They have spent the last 6 years at a hyper-growth, disruptive Silicon Valley startup. They are a technical genius, they move incredibly fast, and their entire philosophy is, move fast and break things.
They can code circles around most of the market. On paper, that person is a total unicorn. Every recruiter would jump at them.
Absolutely. But if you take that brilliant startup developer and drop them into a heavily regulated healthcare enterprise, they will likely implode.
Why?
Because when you are dealing with organizations like Elevance Health, Humana, or Harvard Pilgrim, you are looking at platforms serving upwards of 40 million members. You are operating under the intense scrutiny of strict HIPAA regulations and massive data governance frameworks.
Right. In that environment, moving fast and breaking things doesn't mean a cool new feature glitches.
No.
It means you just violated federal compliance laws and exposed millions of people's private medical data.
Precisely the issue. A developer from a startup might view an 8-step compliance check as just bureaucratic red tape that they want to bypass to deploy code faster.
But natively understanding and respecting regulated industry governance is a non-negotiable requirement in that sector.
Exactly. And a senior practitioner who screens that candidate knows how to probe for that governance awareness. A generalist recruiter only sees that the candidate knows Java.
It highlights a critical truth about retention, really. It starts before the person is even hired.
Yes, it's foundational.
But it also requires ongoing engagement. I mean, to survive in a high-stakes ecosystem, there has to be early course correction.
Yep.
If there is friction between what the developer expected and the reality of the compliance layers, you need to catch it in week 3.
Not month 3 when they are handing in their resignation.
Right. And that continuous relationship management is what drives the final and perhaps most important data point we're analyzing today.
The retention numbers.
Yes. Onwardpath sees a staggering 95% 12-month retention rate for these practitioner-placed roles.
95% retention at the 1-year mark in the current enterprise tech market is almost unheard of.
It really is. Engineers are usually jumping ship every 8 months for a higher salary.
They achieve that because the placement isn't treated as a transaction, it is a managed transition.
That's a great way to frame it.
But to achieve that kind of speed, quality, and retention, you have to accept a somewhat uncomfortable reality about the talent market.
Okay, lay it on us.
The top tier of technical talent, the visionary AEM architects, the hands-on machine learning experts, the DevOps engineers who can actually stabilize a massive cloud infrastructure, they are not looking for you.
Let's expand on that. Because if I'm an executive listening, I want to believe my brand is strong enough to attract anyone.
Of course you do.
So why aren't these elite practitioners applying to my job postings?
Because they're deeply engaged in solving complex problems right now.
They're busy.
They're incredibly busy. The best talent in the world is never sitting on a public job board waiting for a generic recruiter to send them a LinkedIn message full of buzzwords.
Right, they're passive candidates.
Exactly. They're already well compensated, they are embedded in crucial programs, and they just ignore cold outreach.
So how do you actually reach them?
Through peer-to-peer relationship capital.
Okay.
Specialized hiring models work because they are built on maintaining private, passive networks of experts long before a specific role ever opens up.
So when a CTO calls needing a Salesforce AI specialist urgently, the specialized firm isn't starting a search from scratch on a job board.
No, not at all. They're tapping into a pre-qualified network of practitioners they have been nurturing for years.
They can reach the elite talent because they speak their language and understand their specific career trajectory.
Exactly. It's the difference between shouting into a crowded room and making a targeted phone call to a colleague.
Let's pull all of these threads together for you, our listener. If your organization is relying on generalist keyword matching to staff highly complex, specialized technology roles, you are inadvertently engineering your own delays.
You really are.
You are risking frozen migrations, broken continuous deployment pipelines, and ultimately, you are threatening the very board-level promises your leadership team has made.
The strategic evolution here is acknowledging that as technology becomes more granular and complex, the evaluation of that technology must evolve at the exact same pace.
It has to.
Shifting to practitioner-led technical screening,
Ah.
demanding deep contextual alignment during the intake process to account for environments like the healthcare crucible and leveraging passive expert networks.
Right.
That is the structural shift required to protect delivery timelines and actually secure that 95% retention rate.
It is about getting a master mechanic to evaluate the engine,
Yeah.
rather than relying on someone who just knows how to read the owner's manual.
And that leaves us with a final provocative thought to consider regarding your own team's posture.
Let's hear it.
If the absolute best talent in your specific industry is never looking at public job boards and instead relies entirely on private practitioner-to-practitioner networks for their next career move,
Yeah.
how much of your company's future technological success is quietly dependent on the professional relationships your current team is or isn't building today?
Wow. That is a brilliant lens to look through.
It changes the whole perspective.
It does. If your strategic dashboard is glowing green, but your actual progress has stalled out, it might be time to stop looking at the technology and start looking at who is guarding the front door.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to look at your open requisitions this week and ask yourself, are we searching for keywords or are we searching for practitioners? Take care, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.